What if Gary Bettman decided to expand the NHL to 33 teams? Now, recently, we had 2 teams join the NHL, the Vegas Golden Knights and, of course, the Seattle Kraken. And both of them have had very good success so far in their franchise's history. I mean, Seattle had a very tough first season, but this year they defeated the defending Stanley Cup champions in round number 1. And, well, Vegas, they're only 5 years into their franchise's history, and they already have a Stanley Cup. So, in today's video, I'm going to be expanding the NHL to 33 teams. That is right. We are going out to Nebraska, my hometown, to see the Nebraska Wieners win the Stanley Cup. Alright, so we are going to try to win the Nebraska Wieners a Stanley Cup in NHL 23. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, I'm going to select every player from the expansion draft, but once that is done, I cannot do anything else to the team. It is totally up to the computer to build a Stanley Cup contending roster. So we are just going to simulate along and see if the Nebraska Wieners can win a Stanley Cup in NHL 23. Alright, so here we go. We have 32 teams to select players from. Now, first up for the Anaheim Ducks, we have Adam Henrique, Kevin Shattenkirk, Jacob Silverberg. Sonny Milano is 26 years old. He's the youngest one here. I mean, Sam Steele's pretty good, but you know what? I'm going to start with a centerman. We are going to get Adam Henrique. Moving on to the Arizona Coyotes, Alex, I will end your bloodline. Galchenyuk is here. Now, we could take him, but we could go with someone else. Louis Eriksson, not a chance. Alex, I will end your bloodline. Galchenyuk, you are now a part of the Nebraska Wieners. The Boston Bruins, they have Hampus Lindholm. I think I'm going to take him. Jake DeBrusk, he's an 82, 25 years old. Lindholm is 3 years older, but he's an 86, so you know what? I'm going to take him. Kyle Okposo, Pissick is there, Butcher, Drake Kajula. You know what? We're going to go with a winger. We are going to take Kyle Okposo. You are now a member of the Nebraska Wieners. For Calgary, Johnny Gaudreau. Why is Johnny Hockey on the Calgary Flames? Wait a minute. Are you telling me this is the roster from last season? So Johnny Hockey is not on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Jonathan Huberdeau is still on the Florida Panthers, and Matthew Tkachuk is on the Calgary Flames. Obviously, I'm going to take Johnny Hockey. He's 28 years old, 90 overall. He's probably going to be our best player that we're going to get out of this expansion draft, so here we go. Now, for Carolina, we get Nino Niederreiter. Max Domi is there, 83. I mean, Vinny Trocheck is a good one at 85 overall. He's still pretty young, 28 years old. Now, we could take Antti Ranta. He is 33, though, so he's kind of old. Jesperi Kotkaniemi is an elite low overall player. He's 83, only 21 years old. He could possibly grow, so you know what? I'm going to take him in the expansion draft. Now, for Chicago, obviously, they're not going to have very good options because their team is absolute trash. So we are going to settle with Kubalik, an 82 overall, still pretty young, 26 years old. Think I'm going to go with Samuel Girard. He's 86 overall, only 24 years old, and we did select one defenseman, but we are going to go with Samuel Girard of the Colorado Avalanche. Gustav Nyquist for the Columbus Blue Jackets, Roslovic, Jake Bean. You know what? I'm going to start it out young. We are going to take Alex Texier at an 81 overall. Now for Dallas, John Klingberg is available. He's almost 30 years old, but he is 86 overall. Braden Holtby is still on the Dallas Stars. This roster is literally from last season. All right, so we are going to take John Klingberg at an 86 overall. For Detroit, they don't really have the best options. What do they have for goalie? 80 overall, Thomas Greiss. I mean, I guess I'm going to have to settle with the former Edmonton Oilers, Sam Gagner. Come here, buddy. Come to Nebraska. Ooh, for the Edmonton Oilers, we could take Evander Kane at an 85 overall. Oscar Klefbom is an 85 as well. We settle for the youth. He's only 22 years old, 82 overall already. He's got top 4 medium potential. We should be building for the future here. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Evan Bouchard, 82 overall, 22 years old. Now for Florida, Marchment, Forsling, Hornquist, not really very good options here. I am going to take the Stanley Cup champion, Patrick Hornquist. He's 35 years old. He's probably going to retire. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go with Forsling. He's like 10 years younger, the same overall. He's a defenseman. We could fill up our decor. He's 84 overall, 28 years old, still pretty young, in the prime of his career, really. Minnesota, man, this is rough for Minnesota. You know what? I'm going to take Cam Talbot as our starting goalie, 84 overall, 34 years old, so he is old, but he's got a decent overall. We're going to take him. There was no better options for Minnesota, if I'm being honest. Now, for Montreal, they have Evgeny Dadonov, Mike Hoffman, Josh Anderson, Ryan Pitlick. I'm going to take Josh Anderson. He's under the age of 30, 82 overall, in the prime of his career. Ooh, the Nashville Predators have Philip Forsberg. They left him unprotected. What are they doing? Now, obviously, I'm going to go with Philip Forsberg. He's 89 overall, 27 years old. Okay, so this is how you know this is last year's roster. PK Subban, who's not even in the NHL anymore. He would retire last season, still on the New Jersey Devils in this franchise mode. I'm going to have to settle with the former Norris Trophy winner, PK Subban, baby. Ooh, for the New York Islanders, Noah Dobson, 84 overall, 22 years old. You know what? I'm going to settle with Noah Dobson, baby. The Rangers have Ryan Strome, Andrew Copp. I used to think that guy's name was Cock, but I guess it's Copp. I'm going to take the centerman, Ryan Strome. We have 5 centers on the team now. Connor Brown's there, Matthew Joseph. Who do they have for goalie? Matt Murray. I'm definitely not taking Matt Murray. That dude has a hole in his glove, I swear to God. I'm going to take Connor Brown. He's 84 overall, still young, under the age of 30. Cam Atkinson, JVR, Rasmus Ristolainen, Oscar Lindbaum. I mean, we could stay with the young trend here and build for the future because regardless, we're probably not going to win a Stanley Cup in the first like 5 seasons anyways. We're going to take Oscar Lindbaum on the Philadelphia Flyers. He's still young, 25 years old, 82 overall. Now for Pittsburgh, I think I'm going to take Rickard Rakell. They don't really have much else. I mean, Casey DeSmith, only an 82. He's 30 years old. Rakell is younger and a higher overall, so I'm going to take him. We are definitely going to take Brent Burns, 86 overall. He's probably going to retire in a couple years, but he's definitely going to help out the team for the future. And by future, I mean like 3 seasons, maybe 2. He is 37. Now the Seattle Kraken were almost eliminated from the expansion draft, but I said screw it. They are going to get a player taken from them just like they took a player from every single NHL team. And we are going to be taking Jordan Eberle from the Seattle Kraken. Now for St. Louis, they don't have the greatest players. Nick Leddy is 83, but he's 31. I mean, David Perron is old, but he is the highest overall here. They don't really have any young talent that I can take, so I'm going to settle with David Perron. Now for Tampa Bay, I mean, I could take Andre Palat. He's only 31 years old. Anthony Cirelli. Actually, I'm going to settle with Cirelli. He's 24, 84 overall centerman. Now for the Toronto Maple Leafs, they have Mark Giordano, Jake Muzzin, Ilya Mikheyev in goal. I could take Jack Campbell. He is 30 years old, 86 overall. He's obviously going to simulate a lot better than he actually played in real life, and that's a pretty high overall for a goalie, if I'm being honest. So you know what? We're going to settle with Jack Campbell, 30 years old, 86 overall. Now for the Vancouver Canucks, wow, we do not have any really good options here, if I'm being honest. I mean, I guess I'm going to have to go with Tyler Myers, man, 32 years old, 82 overall, 6'8", 229. Now for Vegas, we could go with Nicholas Hague. He's 82 overall, 23 years old, top 4 potential. We could build for the future, or we could get Jonathan Marchessault, baby. Marchessault. You know what? I'm going to stick with the young player we have here. Nicholas Hague, welcome to Nebraska, baby. Now for Washington, I mean, they're basically all old. All of them are over 30 years old. So for goalies, ooh, Samsonov, 25 years old. You know what? Screw it. I'm taking Ilya Samsonov. All right, so we had too many defensemen, so we could not go forward. So instead of Tyler Myers, I'm going to take Brandon Sutter of the Vancouver Canucks. All right, so there we go, boys. We took Nate Schmidt of the Winnipeg Jets. We have gone ahead and selected every player that's going to be a member of the Nebraska Wieners in the NHL expansion draft. Now it's time to go ahead and simulate to see if we can win a Stanley Cup with this roster. Now, obviously, the computer is going to make some moves, maybe sign some players here and there, maybe even trade some players. So hopefully they can improve our roster because honestly, the roster, it's not bad, but it's not great either. All right, so here is the year 1 roster of the Nebraska Wieners. What the hell? Somehow, I guess we ended up signing Nazem Kadri to the Nebraska Wieners. How much? Oh my God. $11.5 million for 4 seasons. I mean, I guess he will help us out. He's an 88 overall on that first line with Johnny Hockey, who's a 90, and Philip Forsberg, who's an 89. On the second line, we have Vinny Trocheck at an 85, David Perron, 86, and Connor Brown, who's an 84. Our third line is going to consist of Alex Iafallo at an 84, Anthony Cirelli, 84, and Jordan Eberle, 84. And finally, for our fourth line, we're going to have Rickard Rakell at an 85, Ryan Strome, 85, and Kotkaniemi, who's an 83. So overall, we have a pretty balanced forward core. I mean, Nazem Kadri is definitely going to help out our center. Now for D, we have Hampus Lindholm at an 86, Brent Burns, 86, John Klingberg, who's an 86, Samuel Girard, also an 86, Nate Schmidt is an 83, and Noah Dobson is an 84. And our starting goalie is going to be Jack Campbell, with our backup being Ilya Samsonov, who's an 85, and Campbell is an 86. Now for captaincy, I have decided to give Johnny Hockey the captain. He is the first ever captain of the Nebraska Wieners. The assistants are going to be Nazem Kadri, and on D, I gave it to Brent Burns because he does have that experience. He's been to a Stanley Cup final, multiple Western Conference finals. All right, now it is time to simulate to see if we can win a Stanley Cup in NHL 23. So the Nebraska Wieners are actually going to make the playoffs in their very first season, they're going to end up finishing second in the Central. They would go 46, 28, and 8. They would end up finishing as the 8th best team in the entire NHL. That is very good for a first season. The Tampa Bay Lightning would end up finishing first, going 54, 24, and 4, followed by the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Florida Panthers, and the Boston Bruins. Nazem Kadri is going to have the most points on our team with 82, followed by Philip Forsberg, 77. Johnny Hockey had 76. David Perron would actually end up having 70 points and 26 goals, so that is very good. For goals on our team, Philip Forsberg is going to have the most at 34, followed by Kadri's 33, Brown 28, and Jordan Eberle 27. Jack Campbell would end up being our starter, starting 55 games. He would go 29, 19, and 5. 3 shutouts, an 8.95 save percentage, and a 2.97 goals against average. Your mom's a hoe, Sebastian Aho is going to lead the entire NHL in points with 106, followed by Brad Marchand's 105, Sidney Crosby 104, Breadman 101, McDavid had 97, Pasta 97, McDavid and Ovi had 96 each. For goals, Sidney Crosby is going to have the most at 53, followed by Marchand's 47, McKinnon 47, Patty Kane had 46, Svechnikov 45, Ovi 44. Sadly, the Minnesota Wild would end up beating us in Game 7 of round number 1, and the Florida Panthers are going to go on and win the Stanley Cup as they sweep the Calgary Flames in the Stanley Cup final. Oh, how funny would that be if that actually happened in real life? Matthew Tkachuk sweeps his former team. David Perron is going to lead our team in points for the first round, 8 points and 1 goal. Johnny Hockey had 5 and 3 goals. Aho is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, while Sid the Kid is going to take home the Maurice Richard. Zach Werenski is going to win the Norris Trophy, the Lady Bing to Aho, and the Conn Smythe to Jonathan Huberdeau. Vasi is going to take home the Vezina, and the Selke is going to go to Ryan O'Reilly. Okay, so after a very successful first season in the NHL, the Nebraska Wieners are going to end up signing David Pastrnak at a 93 overall. I have no idea how we got him on our team, but now overall, our team is pretty goddamn stacked. Our first line is very good with a 90, 89, and 93. On the second line, we have Philip Forsberg, who's a 90 overall, Vinny Trocheck, and David Perron. Our third line, Evan Rodriguez, who's an 85. We picked him up. And then our fourth line is going to be Ricard Raquel, Adam Henrique, and Jordan Eberle. Defensively, we still have Burns and Lindholm, Girard, Klimberg. Man, we have a lot of -1s here. We are going to move Samuel Girard up. Also, I did want Evan Bouchard to play, but I guess he's not a high enough overall. And of course, we still have Jack Campbell and Ilya Samsonov, but I'm going to put Samsonov as a starter because he is younger. So at the end of year number 2, the Nebraska Wieners are going to have a very good regular season. They would go 52, 27, and 3, which would be good enough for second in the Central. They would also end up finishing third in the entire NHL, only behind the St. Louis Blues and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa Bay won 57 games. Johnny Hockey is going to lead our team in points with 88, followed by Nazem Kadri's 86, David Pastrnak 84. For goals on our team, Pasta is going to have the most at 39, followed by Forsberg's 36, Kadri 35, and Johnny Hockey 29. Jack Campbell yet again is going to play at least 20 more games than Ilya Samsonov. He would go 34, 18, and 3. Patrick Kane is going to lead the entire NHL in points with 105, followed by Ovi's 101. McKinnon had 95, Cooch 95, Matthews had 94, Kuznetsov 92. 41 goals and 90 points. Is this guy a rookie? It's his second league. Oh my god, he put up 81 points as a rookie and now 90 in his second season. 92 overall, 20 years old. Oh my god, this guy is basically Connor Bedard. Ovechkin is going to have the most goals in the NHL at 54, followed by McKinnon's 53. Matthews had 50. Patrick Kane 43. Line 43. Jack Eichel was up there. Brady Tkachuk had 42. The created Connor Bedard had 41. And Joe Pavelski would have 40 goals and 86 points at age 39. And we have a very tough matchup for round number 1 as we have the greatest team of all time, the Colorado Avalanche, in round number 1. And yet again, we are going to end up losing in Game 7 of round number 1 to the eventual Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche as they go on and beat the Ottawa Senators in 6 games in the Stanley Cup final. Pasta is going to lead our team in points for the first round with 8, also 3 goals, followed by Kadri 6, Forsberg 5. Patrick Kane is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, while Alex Ovechkin is going to win the Maurice Richard. Cale Makar is going to take home the Norris, the Lady Bing to Patrick Kane, and the Conn Smythe to the greatest player of all time, Nathan McKinnon. UC Saros is going to win the Vezina, and the Selke is going to go to Sean Couturier. So for year number 3, our roster is going to be relatively the same. David Pastrnak actually went down to a 92 overall. Kadri's up to a 91, and Goodrow up to a 92. 82. Defensively, we are going to end up picking up Devon Taves at an 89 overall. He's going to be our best defenseman on our team. So that is a very good pickup there. In goal, I'm guessing we still have, yes, Samsonov and Jack Campbell. Hopefully, Samsonov will be our starter for this season because he is younger and he's not really going to grow anymore if he doesn't get starter minutes. So at the end of year number 3, Nebraska is going to end up having their worst regular season so far. They would go 43, 34, and 5, which was good enough for 5th in the Central, grabbing the wild card position. Nebraska would be the second worst team to actually make the playoffs as they finished 14th in the entire NHL. Johnny Hockey yet again is going to lead our team in points, this time with 98, followed by Pasta's 91, Kadri had 87, Forsberg 69, Brown had 60. For goals, Kadri's going to have the most on our team with 42, followed by Pasta's 34, Johnny Hockey had 30, Forsberg 25, and Brown 25. So Jack Campbell and Samsonov are going to split the games this season. Campbell's going to go 23, 16, and 1, 2 shutouts, a 908 save percentage, and a 285 goals against average. Meanwhile, Samsonov would be absolutely horrible. I mean, what are those stats? A 330 GAA. Connor McDavid is going to have the most points in the NHL at 107, followed by Leon Draisaitl's 106. Patrick Kane would have 98, Johnny Hockey 98, Mark Stone had 97, Jack Eichel 96, Kucherov 96, Matthews 95, and Sid the Kid 94. For goals, Patrick Kane is going to have the most at 50. Actually, him and Jack Eichel would each tie at 50 apiece, followed by Crosby's 48, Matthews 48, Ray Fall had 47, Nathan McKinnon had 46, and yet again, we are somehow going to lose in round number 1, this time to the Chicago Blackhawks in 6 games. That is 3 years in a row that we lost in the very first round. We are literally at Toronto Maple Leafs territory at this point, and of course, yet again, we are going to lose to the eventual Stanley Cup winning Chicago Blackhawks as they beat the New York Rangers in 5 games, actually 6 games. For the playoffs, Forsberg is going to have 3 goals and 6 points, Johnny Hockey 6, Connor Brown 6. Connor McDavid is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, while Jack Eichel is going to win the Maurice Richard. Victor Hedman is going to win the Norris, the Lady Bing to Patrick Kane, and the Conn Smythe to Brad Marchand. The Vezina to Sergei Bobrovsky, and the Selke Trophy is going to go yet again to Sean Couturier back-to-back. Alright, so for year number 4, oh my god, Marco Kasper is now an 87 overall as our second line center. He is definitely going to help us out there. He's grown a lot. He's only 21 years old. Pasta is back up there at a 93 overall. Kadri's an 89. He did drop down, but Goodrow is still a 92. Connor Brown is an 87 overall now. He has a few good years under his belt. Alright, boys, I did forget to show you guys the jerseys. I know we're a little into the video right now, but rate them 1 to 10. How do you rate the Nebraska Wiener jersey? I like the big wiener in the front. It's very juicy, very big. Pause. And David Pastrnak looks very nice in this jersey, I will admit. So yet again, Nebraska is going to end up finishing second in the Central. They are going to go 49, 25, and 8, good enough for 106 points. They would also end up finishing 4th in the entire NHL, only below the Florida Panthers, the Colorado Avalanche, and yet again the Tampa Bay Lightning. Johnny Hockey yet again is going to lead our team in points, this time with 89, followed by Kadri 76, Forsberg had 75, Pasta 71. Speaking of goals, it would be a two-way tie on our team. Pasta would have 35 and Johnny Hockey also 35. Forsberg had 29, Brown 27, Kadri 22, and Ryan Strome 22. Ilya Samsonov is going to go 29, 20, and 4. 1 shutout. Oh my god. These stats are so bad, EA Sports. An 899 save percentage and a 321 goals against average. Patrick Kane is going to end up leading the entire NHL in goals with 55 and points with 110, followed by Leon Draisaitl's 105, Kucherov 101, Kyle Connor 101, Trevor Zegras had 99, Stammer 98, Scheifele 98, Zibanejad and Rantanen would have 95 apiece. For goals, other than Kane, Ovi had the most at 53, followed by McKinnon's 49, Perreault had 49, Draisaitl 49. Alright, so yet again, the Nebraska Wieners are going to lose in the very first round, again in Game 7, this time to the Winnipeg Jets. They would end up making it all the way to the Stanley Cup final, but Tampa Bay would beat them in 5 games to capture the Stanley Cup. Leon Draisaitl is actually going to take home the Ted Lindsay and the Hart Trophy, while Patrick Kane is going to win the Art Ross and the Maurice Richard. How did Patrick Kane not win the Hart Trophy? The dude had the most goals and points in the entire NHL. Dale Makar is going to take home the Norris, the Lady Bing to Patrick Kane, and the Conn Smythe to Andre Palat. Alexander Georgiev is going to win the Vezina, and the Selke Trophy is going to go to Anze Kopitar, who now is on the Nashville Predators. So somehow we are actually going to end up adding Jack Eichel to the team. I have no idea if we traded for him or we signed him in the the offseason. Oh my god, we have Matvei Michkov as well. This roster is absolutely loaded. How do we have the salary cap for this? I literally have no clue how we can afford this with all these superstars on our team. So our first line is going to consist of Johnny Hockey at a 92, Jack Eichel 92, and David Pastrnak 91. On the second line, somehow we're going to have Matvei Michkov at a 90, Nazem Kadri 86, and Philip Forsberg 87. And for goalies, yet again, we're going to have Ilya Samsonov still an 86 overall. Jack Campbell has fallen all the way down to an 82. Yet again, Nebraska is going to end up finishing second in the Central. They're going to go 42, 29, and 11, somehow a worse record than last season. Tampa Bay is going to be the best team in the entire NHL yet again, followed by New York, Florida, Columbus, and Buffalo. Yet again, Johnny Hockey is going to have the most points on our team, this time with 89. He's been around 89, 88 for the past like 4 years, followed by Michkov 78, Jack Eichel had 77, Pasta 76, Forsberg 73. For goals, Jack Eichel is going to have the most on our team with 40, followed by Johnny Hockey's 33, Pasta 31, Kadri 31. Samsonov is going to go 33, 22, and 7. 4 shutouts, a below average save percentage, and very bad GAA. Austin Matthews, who now is on the San Jose Sharks, is going to end up leading the entire NHL in goals with 57 and points with 120, followed by Nathan McKinnon's 113, Stammer had 105, Rantanen 104, Timo Meier 103, Alex Lafreniere had 102. For goals, other than Matthews, Stammer had the most at 55, followed by Linnaeus 55, Threifall had 51, Rantanen 50, McKinnon 46, and Alex DeBrincat 44. And finally, after 5 years, the Nebraska Wieners are in the Stanley Cup final. They are up against the defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning. Can we finally go on and win a Stanley Cup in NHL 23? Sadly, we would end up getting absolutely ragdolled in the Stanley Cup finals. It was 4-1 for Tampa Bay. They beat us in 5 games. It was not even close. Nathan McKinnon is going to take home the Ted Lindsay and the Hart Trophy, while Austin Matthews is going to win the Art Ross and the Maurice Richard. Cale Makar is going to win the Norris, the Lady Bing to Matthews, and the Conn Smythe to Steven Stamkos. Igor Shesterkin is going to win the Vezina, and the Selke is going to go to Zetterberg. Alright, so for year number 6, our roster is relatively going to be the same. We are still absolutely stacked. We have a 92, 91, 90 on the first line, and in goal, we still have Ilya Samsonov, who dropped down to an 85 overall. Our backup is Robin Leonard, 36 years old, 77 overall. Hopefully that man does not play a single game this season. Alright, so at the end of year number 6, the Nebraska Wieners are going to end up finishing first in the Central, going 44, 31, and 7. The Columbus Blue Jackets would be the best team in the entire NHL, followed by Florida, Tampa Bay, Anaheim, and Vegas. Michkov is going to lead their team in points with 81, followed by Kadri 77, Pasta had 72, Samuel Girard had 69, Jack Eichel only had 65, Johnny Hockey 64. He took a huge step back. Samsonov is going to have a terrible season. I mean, an 886 save percentage and a 352 goals against average. Nikita Kucherov is going to have the most points in the entire NHL at 107, followed by Timo Myers 106, Nathan McKinnon 103, Austin Matthews 103. Now for goals, surprisingly, Alexander Barkov is actually going to have the most goals in the entire NHL at 56. It's followed by Patrick Laine's 55, Kucherov 55, Grebashenkov at 54, McKinnon 49, Tarasenko 49, and yet again we get dog walked in the first round by the Chicago Blackhawks in 5 games. And of course, yet again, the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to go back to back as they win. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure they three-peated. Regardless, they would end up beating the Vegas Golden Knights in 6 games in the Stanley Cup final. Yes, the Tampa Bay Lightning have won 3 straight Stanley Cups. Nathan McKinnon is going to take home the Ted Lindsay and the Hart Trophy, while Nikita Kucherov is going to win the Art Ross, and Alexander Barkov the Maurice Richard. Tony DeAngelo is somehow going to win the Norris, the Lady Bing to Kucherov, and the Conn Smythe to Brandon Hagel. Spencer Knight is going to win the Vezina, and the Selke is going to go to Elias Lindholm. So for year number 7, overall our roster is pretty much going to stay the same. Michkov is up to a 91, Jack Eichel 90, Goodrow 88. We would end up signing Spencer Knight, the reigning Vezina winner. He's an 89 overall, so that's definitely going to help us out. Yet again, Nebraska is going to end up finishing second in the Central. They're going to go 47, 28, and 7. Michkov is going to lead her team in points with 89, followed by Johnny Hockey 77, Jack Eichel 75, Pasta 72. For goals on her team, Michkov is going to have the most at 42, Pasta had 30, Jack Eichel 30, and Johnny Hockey 25. Spencer Knight is going to go 38, 23, and 5. 3 shutouts, a 905 save percentage, and a 266 goals against average. Lincoln Threifall is going to lead the entire NHL in goals with 58 and points with 122, followed by Matthews 118, Barzell 118. Buchnevich had 107. McDavid 106. And Kaprizov had 103. For goals, obviously he's going to have the most, but Grevishkov will come in second place with 50. Matthews at 49. Cooch 48. And finally, we have made it back to the Stanley Cup final. This time, we're up against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Can we finally go on and win a Stanley Cup in NHL 23? And finally, the Nebraska Wieners are going to go on and win the Stanley Cup as they beat the Columbus Blue Jackets in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. It has taken us 7 long years to get here. Jack Eichel is going to end up taking home the Conn Smythe for the Nebraska Wieners. He was definitely very huge. And the team that we selected through the expansion draft is going to go on and win the Stanley Cup. I mean, the computers did make some moves, but overall, and here comes our captain, here from the beginning, Johnny Hockey, Jonathan Goodrow, coming to lift the Stanley Cup for the very first time in his career, and for the very first time in franchise history, the Nebraska Wieners are Stanley Cup champions, and he is going to pass it off to Jack Eichel, the Conn Smythe winner. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights would beat us as they got their first Stanley Cup in 5 years compared to our 7, but overall, I'm very happy. 7 years to grow a team to get a Stanley Cup is not bad at all. And now it's time for the picture. Everybody gather around Johnny Hockey, the first and only captain of Nebraska to win a Stanley Cup in NHL 23. Jack Eichel is going to have a great playoff run, 19 goals and 32 points in 27 playoff games. Forsberg's going to have 24, Kasper 22, Mishkov 22, Pasta 20, and the created Connor Bedard is going to take home all the major individual awards. Jamie Drysdale is going to win the Norris, the Lady Byng to Buchnevich, and the Conn Smythe obviously to Jack Eichel. Olsen is going to win the Vezina, and the Conn Smythe is going to go to Connor Bedard, who is on the Arizona Coyotes. And that is going to do it for this video, boys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. I post pretty much every second day. We are on our way to NHL 24. I cannot wait. I'm very interested to see how good it is compared to 23, because we know 23 was not very good. But finally, the Nebraska Wieners are Stanley Cup champions. Took us 7 years to get here. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, don't be silly. Wrap your willy.